Well, hello to everyone out there. I'm Siren, and this video is going to show a tutorial, if you like, for putting together a double-layered inflatable orca. I'm going to start by showing you my first attempt at this, and then you'll be able to see where I perhaps went wrong and what I'm going to do to try and improve that. So let's pan over and have a look at the original. As you can see, this hasn't seen the light of day for a while. In fact, about 3 years, so it's not in fantastic condition, but okay, so immediately unfurling you can see the difference between this and your regular pool toy orca, and there it is. It's the zip and the rather bodged together tape that goes along with it to form this kind of scene. Now, at first glance you might think, sure, this is just a pool toy with a zip, but no, such is not the case, and it's difficult to demonstrate, particularly when holding the camera, but if you look carefully through there, you'll see that the fins open right through, and if you were to feel the weight of this, you can see that there's actually two toys, one inside the other, and they're sealed together along the edge. So we've got a zip that runs along the bottom, that's covered over with duct tape of course, and we've got the two toys which are sandwiched together with strong vinyl glue and over the top like that with more duct tape. So first of all, duct tape, not such a good idea unfortunately, and if we move along and zoom in you can see some of the shortcomings of this design. I've had to use fishing line stitched through here to reinforce because the zip kept coming away from the edge. You'll see another mistake that I made was making the zip opening far too large. This is actually two zips, and they extend right from the base of the tail seam there, right the way up, in fact even curving over and coming up to the orca's nose there. It means that there's more open cut surfaces, if you like, and the need to seal a greater area of vinyl. The other thing you may notice about this zip, although it's hard to see, is that this is just an ordinary fabric-backed clothes zip. So anyway, zooming out, you see the full thing, and for completeness' sake I might as well turn it over, and from this side looks very much the same as this fellow here, Intex Orca circa 2002. So let's move into the next room and see what I've done. Well, the first thing you'll notice about this design is that this is not an Intex Orca. It's in fact a different brand. This is a particular type of orca that's been rebadged and branded by a number of different companies, and you'll see in this case Clark Rubber. Principal difference between these toys: thicker vinyl, seems to be a little bit shinier, and if you take a look at the measurements, 201 centimeters, you'll see that that's actually 10 centimeters shorter in length than the Intex model. Is that a bad thing? In the long term, I don't think it will be. I think a person can still cram himself inside there reasonably well. So anyway, let's take a look and see what I've done. Well, the first thing that's different about this toy is the zip itself. It's difficult to show, but I will flash up some in-progress shots to show you what this looked like originally. Basically, this is a waterproof zip. It's still fabric-backed, but the fabric is interwoven with plastic, which gives it a much more sort of useful structure to glue to. It may not look like it at the moment, but this is actually ready to be inflated for the first time. I'm about to see whether my hard work has paid off. So once again, two toys, one inside the other. One has a zip joined to its inner layer, and the outer one is sealed to the inner one over this area here. And if I zoom in closely, my camera doesn't really pick it up. you can see there's a slight texture to the seam. The difference here is that when I've been gluing, I've been using these guys, which are fairly springy sorts of clamps, and they have that pattern on the bottom. Just means that they squish the vinyl down nicely while it's being glued, and hopefully produce a better bond. That's the stage I'm up to at the moment, and I am about to give this thing its first inflation to see if there are any leaks and to see how well that seam has formed. The glue's been dry for 24 hours, so let's see how it goes. You could see as I picked up the toy then that it's considerably heavier than an ordinary toy. I'll just take the camera off the tripod. So, what initial observations do we have? Well, I think I can hear a faint hissing, although after that huge noise, you know, it could be anything. Travelling progressively up the zip, it's all pretty quiet, which is good news. Likewise, along that section is good. And we come to the tip here, where I can hear a soft whooshing. The corners are the hardest parts to seal, so I almost expected this. You'll see that it's actually that section there. Can you hear a gentle hiss? But basically, cover that up and the hissing's gone. Now, the front section, you'll see that I've had to unzip to really see what's going on here, but you know, that just proves that it is a double-layered toy. Now moving on, you can see that again, it's a similar story on the top seam. A very, very small escape of air, but you'd be surprised how much of a difference that can make in terms of air retention. So, stay tuned, we'll find out what happens. Okay, so here we are again. It's been 24 hours since I effected the repairs, and if we take a look down here, we'll see the first problem. Basically, there was air escaping from this area here. I've cut back the seam so that any glue that didn't bond properly has now been cut away, and then I've just injected some glue in there, clamped it down and given it a test inflate, and it seems to work. If we're moving along to here, you'll see that I've actually turned the whole double-layered toy inside out around about the head, and I've put in place this reinforcement panel here. That takes care of that. And so I'll be most interested to see if this works. Okay, so here we are in the aftermath of the first inflation, the successful first inflation I might add, and all went very well. In fact, I'm very pleased with the end result. What I didn't get time to show before was that I had to compromise slightly on the seal because I misjudged the height of these toys. Being 10 centimeters shorter than the Intex Orca does in fact makes a difference, and as a result I've had to add about 15 centimeters to the seam. Now how have I done that? If you look at that, you'll see the seam, the zip itself terminates there. Follow it up and around, you'll see a sort of curved seams formed here, which is really just an extension of the main seam, which extends all the way down there, and a small reinforcement panel there, which folds over and goes inside, like so. And following on from that, everything is good. And I'm very pleased with the result. So I guess that concludes this tutorial. I hope you've found it informative, and I will follow up with more later.